welcome to another episode of the Guy in a Basement podcast. Today I have with me Amber Hope, who is CCO of Culture Slate, a archer of renown, having won awards and practicing in traditional historical archery, and an actor, and many other things as well, I would assume. So with that, I would like to introduce our guest, Amber Hope. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm glad to have you on. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, that was a really big intro and I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's just turning on the old energy, right? There you go. I can do that. I'm still have enough young, youthful energy. All right, so there is a lot we can talk about. You know, you're a very accomplished person with a lot of things on your plate, and just whatever you would like to start talking about, we can do whatever. That's the beauty of this podcast.
Well, right now, the thing that's kind of been consuming most of my life, as you mentioned before, is archery. I'm training to go to the USAA Nationals, which
Oh,
is not this weekend, but next, and it's in New Mexico.
ooh boy. So much
Yeah.
much training is done, I imagine.
I practice about 2 to 3 hours a day minimum, and some days up to 6 hours, and sometimes twice a day. Um,
Ooh. I mean, that's like I have mad respect for that. I cannot say more so than that. Like that's incredible, and
Thank you.
that's such a cool. I don't want to know if it would be a hobby or a sport. It's just like something in between, but it's just a cool activity to take part in. How did you get into it?
Okay, well, to be honest with you, I have a really interesting story when it comes to sports and archery and things like that. I've always been a huge nerd, so naturally, as a kid, Legolas and just like, oh my God, archery is so cool. It's just like the coolest thing, and I've always
Yes,
wanted to try it.
absolutely.
It's surprisingly not that easy to just walk into and just learn.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though I've had like a passion for it, I just happened to run into our mutual friend, Brian, who is my best friend and roommate.
Aw.
And he has a mutual friend that shoots archery. And I was going through a lot during COVID, and he was at the archery range in Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
And we drove out there, and he taught me how to shoot. And he had like this like beginner bow for people he knew, like if you're gonna shoot, you can use this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was watching him, and he was shooting off this full wood laminate beautiful bow, and I was just like, why am I shooting on this thing and you're shooting with that? So naturally I was just like, can I try it? And he was like, you can try. And right? And so I actually have a little video of this. I take the bow, and it's apparently, and I didn't know at the time, I can be very ignorant and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
ambitious and just
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Right.
Um, I took the bow, and the string is a 50-pound string,
Oof.
which to those who are not familiar with archery is extremely heavy. Like, most guys usually go 40 to 45 pounds, and they've been shooting for years. So
Mm.
I take this bow, and it's not perfect. It's my first time, but it's pretty perfect. And I shoot it, and his face is just. And from that moment on, I was just obsessed. And he actually was an expert in traditional archery, and I started getting in traditional. So that's not compound or
Mm-hmm.
Olympic, it's bare bow. You use instincts to shoot. And well, there's a lot of strategy to it, but it's an art. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to revive it and advocate for it because it's a dying sport, and a lot of people just don't know how to get started. And I got my first bow for my birthday as a gift
Mm-hmm.
in March, and ever since then, I've been shooting every day, and people said go to a competition, and I've been doing surprisingly well. So I went and made second place at the state broadhead champs, which was crazy. And I met a lady there who participated in the Olympics, and she was like, "You gotta go to nationals," and I'm like, "Okay." So I'm gonna go. Um,
Wow, that's really
yeah.
incredible. You know, maybe
Thank
maybe
you.
maybe in a past life you're one of those like longbow archers the English used against the French and completely decimated them in those wars they kept doing against them. You never know.
Right? I assume maybe I have like some ancestry. I am Finnish, Scandinavian, and
Mm-hmm.
English, so I've got some cool like DNA and stuff. I looked it up. I'm a nerd. Um,
That's certainly something we can talk about too, since I love, for me, history and culture are so interesting. So.
it is, yeah. I'm a huge fan, and it's surprisingly there are a lot of female archers in history, but it's
Mm-hmm.
actually hard to follow up and find historical facts on that. It's they usually just find graves of women that were buried with their weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's so cool. Like, women are more than just housewives. Like,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I
and
mean, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of stuff to survive, especially in the like you don't have modern conveniences as we know them, I would say, until the 1940s for most people. So, you know,
yeah,
you
it's a
gotta.
shame.
It is. There's something about delving into the past and be like, this is a cool thing. Why did we stop doing this? And usually there's a reason like, oh, technology, it's better. This stick with a big hole in it and you put gunpowder in, it works way better against armor. I guess now we don't have archers. It's like, and we don't have knights. Oh, then let's put it out lines and let's line up and now we'll fire a different round. Ah, I see what you're doing there, Napoleon. All right, we're gonna build trenches, and that's how war evolves. But long story short, it loses stuff that is actually really cool and takes a lot of practice and something that's, as you said, an art.
Yeah, it's definitely an art form. I don't like hating on different types of bows and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
right now the market is just saturated with Olympic bowmen and
Mm-hmm.
compound. And the difference between what I do and they do is they have sights that aid them and show them exactly where to aim.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually never touched any of those. I've only been straight traditional. Um, I do have a theory
All
on
right.
why I was able to pick it up so well.
Right.
And the first theory was, oh man, I just have warrior blood. But like I feel like a lot of us nerds like to think that.
For sure. I don't know if that's far back in the ancestry. Probably at this point we're the bookkeepers of the world.
Right?
We're the ones that make sure it's like this is stuff that's interesting. You gotta practice it. But yeah, but please continue.
I believe that I had many years of training and practice just as much as some of the best archers,
Hmm.
but in a different, unconventional way.
Oh, how was that? How did you do it?
And and I want to say this to those out there who, feel like, oh man, you have to practice for years to be good at something. That's not always true.
Hmm.
You can get your training from other things. I also say this as an actor. Um, I feel the reason why I'm very good at archery is two reasons. One, I'm a video gamer. Like I've professionally been in competitions. I have that competitive spirit, knowing how to aim and just things like that.
Hmm.
But the second reason is my weight loss journey.
Hmm.
And I lost a total of 175 pounds and 150 in a year.
Congratulations.
Thank
Extreme
you.
congratulations.
Thank you. Well, what made me feel like that was my training was one of the cool things about losing weight was it was a mental journey. It
Hmm.
wasn't a physical journey. I mean, technically it is a physical journey, but it doesn't matter. Like if you don't have your mental game, and
Right.
one of the things that allowed me to learn is who I am, being so in tune with my body to lose that much weight
Hmm.
that I understand myself on a different level. So when my mentor was teaching me archery and he would say, you need to feel these muscles, I'm able to feel
Mm.
exactly those muscles because those are muscles I've worked out. Those are muscles I've become so in tune with. Those are things that I understand about my body that I can listen and actually do. And it's an unconventional way to train for a sport, but it's still training. It's
Hmm.
still that knowledge of knowing how things work. And when you have a great teacher, then you're able to do that.
Hmm.
So I mean, I definitely feel like I'm great at this because of drive, ambition, practice, having a wonderful teacher, and having experience that was unconventional in training for archery. So I just want people to know that. So, don't be overwhelmed. Go for it. Learn what you want to learn. Do what you want to do, because your training in your past may actually aid you, even though you haven't been doing this specific thing for a long period of time.
I think that's a very admirable thing to tell people, and that's also a really interesting thing to show that how connections work even when you don't see them.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'd like to I want to encourage people. That's what I feel one of the reasons why I've been on this earth is I was blessed with this, how do I say it without having as much fear of things. I went through a lot, to the point where it was like a life or death situation, and I've gotten to the point now as, a 30-year-old that I just go and do things. If I want to do something, I want to do it. And I feel that I want to show other people they can do the same. I want to encourage. I don't want to just say, "Look, woe is me. I do all these neat things." It's like, no, you can too. You just go for it.
What's stopping people but like just their own decision to say I shouldn't do it or I should do it, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of hesitancy to do things, and that saddens me. Live your life, you only get one.
Oh, there you go. I 100% agree. You only get to be this version of yourself on the. So for me, I'm a dharmic pig, and I do Buddhism and I do paganism as my like faith set of beliefs. I guess I consider them more like practices to keep me sane, but I totally understand that. Just go for it. What's the worst thing that can happen? You're gonna be like, but everything takes time. Everything takes practice. And it's like you said, you don't know how you're going to be able to pull your past experiences to work out a current situation you're in. I mean, I totally understand that from just like my personal life, professional life, and all other stuff just stacking on top of each other to work it around. I'm surprised at the people I've met and the things I've done. And just be like, yeah, I have a simple goal. I'm going to work for it. And I just do a bunch of things around. Sounds like KevSauce DA22 has followed me. Thank you very much, and we thank you for watching the vodcast. No questions as of yet, but there you go. Yeah, hello to our one viewer. Yes, growth, success. I'm yeah, wonderful. I'm a happy guy.
Well, I know it's your vodcast, but I would like to ask you questions too.
Absolutely.
You're mentioning experiences and things that you've done. Please share with me.
So I would say things such as, what have I done in my life? I've explored sewers without shoes on. That has been an surprising experience. I've survived a car accident going 70 into a tree off the freeway. My friend passed out. When during the pandemic, my father passed away from suicide, unfortunately, and I was able to come back to America just as the pandemic was starting, and I was able to go back to Japan the day before they closed their borders to everyone in the world.
Wow. First of all, I'm really sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. I don't usually talk about that much with friends or like people who I'm not too familiar with, just for the basis that it's a very private matter and it's still sensitive, but it happened, and good things came out of bad things, I suppose. For example, on a weekend where I was going to hang out with friends in Tokyo to have like kind of like to de-stress from the heaviness of that, right? I ended up getting two of my friends to become a very tight couple that have been together now for over a year. And they're still working in Japan at the same company that I was working at, and I knew her from college, and he was in my training group, and now they're very close. It was like, yay, you guys got together because of So there's like some kind of feeling of shit, that sucks, but at the same time it's like, I'm happy because it's created new things and it's a beautiful thing. But
it's very neat how the world can work that way. It can seem like just such a terrible time, but there's so many blessings that come out of it no matter what, and that's really cool that you're bringing people together like that.
Absolutely. And that's the thing like I want to do with not just this platform but with my life. I found that I'm a very big ethics and philosophy guy, and P.S. ladies, I've never dated anyone, so I've had a lot of personal time to invest in this. And in all seriousness, I have, And I've learned a lot from that and just dealing with different people across the spectrum of how people live. And there you go. It's like like for example, the political dichotomy in America at this moment is heavy. It's very clash of the wills of how we want to take our society. But I'm still willing to reach across the aisle and say, listen, I know why you believe this. I personally think what you believe is wrong, but I completely understand what led you here, and I want to help you get out of that pit and leave some of that ill will that's ultimately going to tear us apart. Because ultimately, no one's really all that different. We all have a human experience, and it doesn't matter what culture you come from, what language you speak, the color of your skin, your religion, your sexual or gender identity, because there is a split, guys. There is a split. If it hadn't been for the Nazis burning down Magnus, I forget his last name, and his institute in the 1920s in Weimar Republic, we would have known a lot more about, the LGBTQ plus community. And I can keep adding letters in there, but I'm just going to keep it simple. But yeah,
Agree.
thank you.
Well, one thing you said that just kind of struck even more interest in me is to ask you, like you said something along the lines of you want to help people get out, you want to help people, what makes you feel that way? Because I have this theory there's two types of people. There's not a lot of people that feel that way, that they want to actually help. There's not always something beneficial right then in that moment. It's not a temporary satisfaction. It's
Right.
something that would pay off in the future. And I've noticed something that there's certain individuals that want to help, want to do things like that. So what makes you feel that way?
It's really two major aspects of my life. So when I was in college, I did a double major in Japanese and history. But it's the history thing that really has allowed me to kind of understand the true length of what like human life is compared to what our civilizations do, right? And this is some heavy topics, but to make a grand thing small and easy to understand. We have to work together. We're a communal species. Humans do better when they're in a group. And everything's interconnected, and that's connected to my second thing, which is Buddhism, which I've learned about scholastically, I've learned about religiously, I've read the texts. Everything is connected. For example, I'm using electricity right now in my house to power it. Well, my mom's house, that's why I'm the guy in a basement right now. But anyway, that energy could be coming from coal, or it could be coming from wind or something, and that's part of this world. It's a part of the land. Everyone is living on the land. Everything is connected together. And the fact that we're setting up these artificial barriers of separation based on so many different factors is that I want people to realize, listen, I don't care what, and that's what I said earlier. I don't care, insert your identity here. We're all human beings. We all have the ability to have empathy with each other, and no one's doing that. And we can't come together, and I don't want to say as a planet, because politically I'm a libertarian socialist, which is a very, very polite way of saying I'm an anarchist, and I think people should just fucking live the way they want to live and not be coerced into things. And shit, there you go. It's a simple philosophy. Unfortunately, we're living when we live, so we got to be like, guys, maybe we have to make an effort to not bomb each other, or not, oh, we hate this group, but we like this group. It's like, whoa, they're all people, guys. You're dehumanizing them. They're humans. Don't turn them into just an animal. They're people. And I want to create that understanding. I'm inspired by people like you who go out and create their own things and want to make the world better. I'm inspired by people who are pointing out this stuff that's a problem we got to fix. And I just want to throw my 2 cents in. That's all I can say.
That's very admirable, and you're right that doing something is a collaborative effort. And years ago, when I first started going to college, I had started my first business, official business with a license. And my tagline was, "It starts with one." And it does. It starts with one person to make a change and to make a difference. But the key to that is, and what I want to actually make a new one now, is
Mhm.
it's a collaborative effort.
Mm.
We need other people to join up. We need other people to speak out. We need to work together as a team because one voice just combined becomes many. It's like a mountain. You don't just climb it overnight. You got to take it step by step.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's the same with any kind of obstacle or challenge in life. And I find it just very admirable when I meet like-minded people that point out problems and want to make a change. And I feel strongly about society. I feel um, I try not to be frustrated anymore. Instead, I try to point it out and bring awareness. And one of the biggest things for me is education, and mental health
Mm.
education, which also combines understanding gender identity, sexual identity, things like that. It's super important. Yesterday, I have a little story, if that's okay.
Please, by all means.
I was on set at Universal Studios in Hollywood. Well, technically Studio City, but it's right behind there. Um, and I was just like so happy to be back on set. I mean, it's been depressing not being able to work, and
Mhm.
I just walked into the holding area with the other actors, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh man, those two guys over there, they're talking. Everybody else is kind of like zombieing out, on their
Yes.
phone, just doing this, and so I was like, I'm gonna go sit with them.
Mhm.
And I go sit with them, and there's this really cool Asian guy, and he's like laughing and being funny. And then there's the cool Hispanic guy over to my left, and he was laughing back and being funny. And I was like, "Hi, my name's Amber. Can I sit with you? You guys are talking. I want to hang out." And
Yep.
they're like, "Yeah." I'm extroverted, and which has been incredibly terrible in COVID. Um,
Well, I feel for you. I'm introverted, but I'm like INFJ if you believe in that stuff.
I am
So
ENFJ.
there you go. There you go.
Literally the same thing,
You're
just E.
there you go. You're like get out there. I'm like I'll tag along. I'm not gonna say much, but I'm gonna be like absorbing your energy. And
Right,
I'm.
and I love that because I understand, and this brings me to my point of my story is I
Mhm.
understand that a lot of people don't have the medium such as like wanting to be up front and center stage in film, or like my Asian friend that I met, Adrian's his name.
Mhm.
He is a comedian.
Hmm.
And then my Hispanic friend that was over to my left, his name was Eric. So Eric and Adrian, he is an aspiring film director. And then we
Mm.
had another friend on my right that ended up showing up later, joining our big circle. His name is Brandon,
Mhm.
and he's African American, and he's LGBT, well, part of the LGBT community. And we started having this huge conversation. It started attracting a bunch of other actors, and they were just like listening in. And I was talking about perception and perspective.
Mhm.
And I was explaining the difference. And like a lot of people don't have the same perception as others, therefore, the perspective of others is assumed. And I
Mhm.
say that is like the worst thing that you can do. So before we left, I looked at each one of them and I said this, and I'm saying this to anybody watching here now or in the future. You are the only one with your perspective. And it is important that you speak about it in your mediums in any way that you do. And I was specifically talking to Adrian and Eric and Brandon too, because I said, you know what, you are the medium that allows you to have a platform and you're not afraid to speak out. So when you speak out, remember why you're in LA, why you're
Mhm.
doing what you do. Like, think about back home and the people that you're representing. Like, your voice represents them. Do something about it. Like, speak out. Because
Mhm.
I don't understand what it's like to be you, or you. I don't know what it's like to be an Asian comedian. I want to know. Tell
Mhm.
me. What have you gone through? What was it like growing up? Like, what brought you to comedy? And it's beautiful.
Mhm.
Absolutely beautiful, because those are things that we won't know unless people speak out, you know? And I want to know more about LGBT, and like, what have you gone through specifically? Maybe there's others sitting right now. Like, I know you spoke a little bit about suicide, and I hope that this isn't triggering, but I've been down that route
Mm-hmm.
myself
Mm-hmm.
and survived. And one thing that's very important is, there's somebody that can speak out and maybe save those people, so that they understand that they're not alone. You never know what you say can actually save someone's life. And someone like my friend Brandon here, who was explaining how hard it is to love and be loved when you're LGBT and African American, he's
Mm-hmm.
having to deal with so like racist problems on top of homophobic problems,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not fair,
Right. I'm
you
sure
know?
there's like a lot of you're right. You're absolutely right. It's not fair. It's and the best thing to do is to be open. It's to everyone has their truth. Everyone has their perspective, as you said. And the only way to break the perception and to break these isms that are controlling our lives, because they are, especially in America. You and I are both American, and our country has an extremely unique attitude towards how identity works. You know, we don't identify as American. We identify as where the hell we came from, unless you don't know where you came from, which is specifically targeted to people of African descent, unless they are recent immigrants from Africa. And they have had to create their own culture as a reaction to all the shit they've had to deal with historically. And this also relates to people in the LGBTQ community, people of the Latinx community, and I'm not even listing the whole thing because that would take forever. But you need to speak up. You need to let yourselves be heard. That's the beauty of this country. It's also a little bit of a curse. It's a double-edged sword. You know,
Yeah.
everyone is free to say what they want, and then they have the reaction of the consequences. No one thinks of the consequences. That's why it's like when someone says a racist thing, if you're not a racist, you're going to punish them and be like, all right, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I am punishing you by cutting you out of my life.
Yeah. And the thing that just gets me is I don't want to speak for anybody else, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't speak for anybody else, and it's unfair to.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want to say that I can only share my perspective. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but we need to give more diversity the spotlight, and I'm all for that. And one thing I feel that's very important, very, very important, and it saddens me because I see this every day, and this is one
Mm-hmm.
of the most important things I feel I can say,
Mm-hmm.
is education.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say education is because sometimes, not giving an excuse,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes racists, they don't know that they're racist. They don't know that they're homophobic. Again, there are many that do know, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not excusing that.
Yes.
But I come from South Carolina. I grew up around a lot of racism. I remember the moment that I learned truly what racism was,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy to share that story at any point. But one thing that I want to combat against is I realize that it is a very learned trait, and it's something that people don't realize because it could be how people, if, for example, a woman has her kid and she sees
Yes.
someone of color and she may or or drag her
Yep.
kid, little things like that is racism and how it's taught. It may not be directly like don't like black people or something, like
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way. And um it saddens me because there's no education on what it is and how to prevent that, and that's why I feel this is the most important thing that I can say is that we need education. We need way better education. It needs to be reformed completely. um, and
Yes.
I believe mental health and efforts to help with that should be taught in elementary school. As soon as kids are in school, there should be mental health classes,
Mm-hmm.
how to speak out properly. If you have feelings, that's okay. Not to, it's not wrong to be mad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not wrong to cry, and how to express that healthily. And
Mm-hmm.
that should be taught at a young age. And I feel this would help society in so many ways.
Abs.
And,
I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I
No, it's
was
fine.
I was just gonna say absolutely. Our viewer here said in Latin America there's discrimination there is discrimination by LGBT community people. I'm curious to see what they mean by that, but they'll probably text that just so you know. I'm interested what you mean. But
Well,
yes. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, it's fine. That's a wonderful point, and I'm glad they brought that up because what I see that hurts me the most is people who've been hated on
Mm-hmm.
hate back.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like to do is, you know what? You're valid. White privilege is a thing, and it is awful, and it needs to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry that people have treated you wrong. But one thing I've seen, not saying any names about specific people, but they have been treated wrong by somebody. But then they had a moment and they said, well, this is a white male and I don't want this white male around me, and because they're white. And that is the same behavior just and just thrown right back out. And for me, what I want to educate is don't repeat that behavior. Love one another no matter what color your skin is. And again, white privilege is wrong. I hate that it's a thing. I want to fight against it. It's not fair. And I agree, 100% valid. For those out there who don't feel validated, like you are valid.
Mm-hmm.
But don't
Absolutely.
use the same behavior back on somebody else. End it with yourself. End that behavior now, so we can live in a better society and work together and collaborate and remember that there's enough stars in the sky and there's enough room for everybody else, that you're the only one on this earth with your perspective, and it means the world. So don't forget that. And you deserve to be heard.
Absolutely. I have nothing more to add to that. That's perfectly poignant. It's very, very true. And that's actually it's a great thing to talk about, especially in terms with like the uniqueness of people. It's like, I don't want to put this into the suicide thing again, but like, if you're feeling like you're going to do it, you can talk to people, guys. You have, even like, if you feel like they're not going to reach out, give it a shot. People do have empathy. People care. And that's why you have friends and you have family and you have your chosen family as well. Because let's be honest, sometimes blood family can be can sometimes be climactic, but you can also choose your family as well. And that's also important. So you have many resources to use. So please take them because they're out there.
Yes, please. And one thing I'd like to say on that is coming from somebody that, I've been on my own since I was 16. I felt incredibly lonely. And when I was at my heaviest weight and I felt trapped in my body and just like, I didn't feel like myself. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror. And when I just it just reached a point where I'm just like, I can't handle this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I feel like there may be somebody that may watch this now or one day and they think, well, I don't have friends. I don't have family or a chosen family. You know what? I didn't either. But there's phone numbers you can call. There's somebody out there who cares. I care. I can't talk to everybody in the world, but I know there's people that care. So don't give up. Like, give that a chance and then give it another chance. Just remember you're worth it here. And your perspective is unique. It's beautiful. Don't give up. And that's I apologize for going back on that, but that's something I'm so passionate about that I talk about on my YouTube videos, or I know you've seen my Facebook. I'm always like really open with stuff, and I do that on purpose
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody can speak out, and if I speak out, maybe people won't feel as alone.
Admirable position. Admirable thing to do as well. So beautiful to have people like you on the planet.
Same for you.
Thank you. I'm very much when compliments come in, it's like, oh, stop it, and it's back. I'm very much please don't do it. I try to have as little of an ego as possible. My pride is in my humility.
And that right there is extremely admirable, and it shows in action. It very much does.
Thank you. All right. So, we have now talked about mental health. We have talked about archery. I want to get into Well, can I ask you about Culture Slate? I'm very curious. I would love to learn about it.
Man, Culture Slate is amazing. So a few years ago, I was on set doing audience work for Family Feud, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the day after Game of Thrones premiered its final episode, and we all know like how crappy that was.
I have a hot take on that one, but I will save that until your story's finished. I'm gonna write that down. Game of Thrones
So
hot take.
yeah, so disappointing.
Yes, it. I will answer that when we get to that hot take.
I look forward to it. So I hear this like really loud kind of podcasty voice speaking out in the crowd, and it's just talking literally about spoilers really loud about Game of Thrones the day after. And I turn and I look over, and there's this guy, and he's just like, I'm not going to say it because I still to this day don't want to spoil certain things, but
Mm.
he was saying it out loud, and I just turned and looked, and I said, "Are you spoiling Game of Thrones the day after it premiered?" Loudly in front of like 100 people, and he just like turns and looks at me and starts laughing. He's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Cool, let me join you." So like,
I love
so
it.
yeah, I helped spoil it too. Surprise. Um, I sat next to him and we talked for like an hour, and then I said, he told me that he was a podcaster for Star Wars Underworld,
Mm.
and he's been doing this podcast for about 10 years. And I said, you know what? I really want to work with you. Let's not be like everyone in LA and be like, let's collab, guys. And then you like never see each other again.
As someone who lived in Southern California almost his whole life, I totally understand that.
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But, you know, it's a thing. And we stayed in touch. And during the pandemic, he was talking about how him and his best friend and other business partner Claire were interested in starting Culture Slate, and that we were trying to gather the right people to do this. So we have a podcaster that he worked with named Ben who runs social media.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Claire, who's our CFO and also head of our writing team.
Mm-hmm.
We have Chris, who's the CEO, who oversees and takes care of everything. And then there's me, that's the chief creative officer. So I do video production and things like that, and a lot of networking. I bring a lot of people together. We just shot a short film this weekend, but we became partners, and we started this business in March 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And it kicked off with writing. We write like a lot of articles. We have a lot of volunteers that help us out, especially from the Star Wars community.
Mm.
And you know, we've quickly been able to make this a thing, and we're hoping to buy a studio or rent a studio soon so we can have actual productions instead of just kind of like what we've been doing during the pandemic and
Mm-hmm.
streaming and making videos like this.
Right.
But basically, it's a love for nerd culture and many different outlets and aspects. And eventually, you know, I want to turn it into a full-time production team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we all do, because again, want to mention we're co-owners. There's
Mm-hmm.
4 of us.
Mm.
And we want to make films. We want to continue writing. We
Mm-hmm.
want to make this awesome like company from what it is. And our basis from it is we're tired of how there's a lot of nepotism in film. So we decided to do it ourselves, and we encourage other people. And so if you want experience working on films or writing, and you need your stuff on a platform for other people to see, we're always open to things like that. Whatever we can do to help get you experience on your resume, things like that. And you know, Culture Slate's been my life for the past year, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and better, and it's super exciting, and it's nice to leave our mark on nerd culture, and there's so many exciting things to look forward to in the future.
That's just a beautiful thing to hear. I'm so happy to hear that being like, you know, having been started, and I'm eager to see how you guys grow in interesting ways. I imagine kind of Hollywood is a place that is very, very, as you said, there's a lot of nepotism, and there's a lot of old, it's like this idea of old money that like people don't realize it's really there. There's a lot of connections that go back 30, 40, 70, like even it's just as it's beginning, and it's great to see someone breaking in and just being like, "Hey, guys, relax. Come here. We'll help you out. Trust me, we're not Beetlejuice." Yeah, but hey, there you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work. We built from the ground up. Again, a lot of us, I come from more the gamer community. Chris and Ben come from the Star Wars community, and so does
Mm-hmm.
Claire. Claire's an amazing YouTuber who's they're all geniuses, and we just sat together and we're like, okay, how do we want to do this? And every day it's an effort to try something new. And if you give up easily and you're not persistent, this making a company like this is not for you. You've got to work at it all the time and accept that there's going to be problems. Just how are we going to combat it? There's
Mm-hmm.
always something. And we just continue to work hard every day. And, it's amazing watching it grow so quickly within a year. I can't wait to see where it's going to be next year. And hopefully we'll be making feature films.
There you go. I hope so as well. Our mutual friend Brian, he actually was like, "Nick, do you need something to do?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, oh, yes, yes." He's like, "You should hit up my friend. She has this awesome company, and I know you write, so because I'm trying to become a writer. I'm actually writing a gothic horror novel, a
Ooh,
globe-spanning hidden societies like mythology novel series, and I write poetry. So
very cool.
yeah, I'm great at starting
Love
things,
to
and
do
I can plan things, but then it's the execution and the commitment that just like I'm so bad at it.
It takes time. It takes time. I have to set alarms and like reminders and put it in my calendar just like I would for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you do like set a small goal and you just, I mean, teeny tiny. If it's too much of one or if it's not perfectly defined, then
Mm-hmm.
define it better. And if that's too much, make it a smaller goal until you're able to get consistent. Because even if it's, say, you write 3 pages a week, that's
Right.
3 pages more than you had 2 weeks ago. And
Mm-hmm.
that those 3 pages will add up. And guess what? One week you might be like, you know what? I'm really into this right now. I'm going to write 20 pages. And you'll be able to write 20 pages. Just the trick is don't burn yourself out.
確かになるほど。そうですね。Yes. Very nice. That is very true, and that's something I really need to take into my personal practice of my writing. Clearly, because it's totally different from the streaming stuff and the vodcast. I guess it's not really a podcast. Yeah, I really need to start converting these into audio files.
Yeah, put them on Anchor. That's what we do at Culture Slate.
All right, Anchor.
Yeah.
All right, I'll write that
Yeah,
down.
you can get paid for that.
Making money for doing what I want? It's almost as if
Yes,
that's a good thing, and I'm really happy to hear
right?
that.
Let us know how we can help. That's what Culture Slate does. We're making money doing what we want. And this is not a sponsored shout out to Anchor, but Anchor is great.
Mm-hmm. I I am going to check that out then. That will be something I'm doing this afternoon. There will be
Yeah. And
conversions.
you can have this up on Spotify today.
Truth. All right. I've been convinced. I'm going to be ambitious, guys. Anyone who sees
Yeah.
this, yeah, I'm going to push for it.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
excited. I'm going to message you and be like, "Hey, did you do it?"
Oh,
So
oh,
keep you accountable.
that's actually the best thing for me. Accountability keeps me on track. It's like I'm like an ornery old ass that just like I just want to sit around nothing. If I get a swat to the ass, I'd be like, all right, I don't know if I'm going.
Right? And it's like I feel like most of us can relate to that. Like I'm the same way, but one thing I learned in life that helped me out
Mhm.
was again, I've been on my own since I was 16. Um I didn't really have parents. They were young when they had me.
Mhm.
still talk to them now. I love them now.
Mm.
We've got over a lot of the stuff that made me so mad at them for years. But the point is that stuff happened for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to become my own parent. So I have to whip my own ass. Or I don't know if I can say that, but
This is an
um,
adult stream. It's totally cool.
okay. I should have asked you that before. But
Yes.
yes, I had to whip my own ass into shape, and just I am the only one that can hold myself accountable sometimes. Like when I was very heavy overweight, what got me to lose weight was I had to wake up at 5 in the morning to work out because I didn't have time. And
Mm-hmm.
working out to me was super important because I was tired of being overweight.
Mm-hmm.
Not that being overweight is bad, body positivity, but
Mm-hmm.
my specific feelings was I don't want to be overweight.
Right.
So I would lay in my bed in the morning and I would hear the alarm go off at 5, and I had two choices. I could sit there and go, oh my God, I just want to sleep. Or what I did do was I had water ready next to my bedside and I'd chug down some water and I'd be like, get up.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not think about wanting to sleep because if I did, then I would sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a rewiring of your brain. But the trick is, and when I tell everybody, if you want something bad enough, you will make time for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing. I worked a full-time job in the gaming industry,
Mm-hmm.
and my commute with traffic in LA was an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back.
Yep.
And by the time I got home, I was tired and I didn't want to work out. And I said, well, the only time I can get up and work out is early, and I really want to lose weight. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I
Yep.
still to this day get up 5, 6 a.m. and work out. It's
That's
it's become life for me.
that is admirable. I know I keep saying that, but like that is spot on. That is something that is inspiring. And yeah, I try and go on walks every day. I try and be out in nature. I try and eat healthy. But I need to step up the game of working out, you know. It
Well, one thing I'd like to say, just from my perspective,
mhm.
I feel this is super valid and important,
Mhm.
is when I first started wanting to lose weight, and again, I failed a lot,
Mhm.
and I wanted to hit the ground running like that, like
Yeah.
I'm an athlete, and then I would burn out.
Mhm.
So I would like maybe work out 2 hours in the gym and then not work out again for 3 months.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's my advice for anybody is please don't do that. What I did was that when I started my weight loss journey is I actually cut sodas first, very slowly, and then I started cutting out fast food before I
Mm.
started even working out. It was months. And then by the time I started losing weight, I was working out 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, and it was just little walks, little
Mhm.
tiny walks.
Mhm.
And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna up this now. It's getting a little easier. But I upped it a little bit.
Right.
Not to the point where I was mentally stressed out. And then I told my doctor, I was like, I want to be 120 pounds. And he said, well, I'll be honest with you. You're gonna have to work out 5 times a week to do that. That's hard.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, hi.
It's like, hello, new world. This is me. Let's do this.
Yeah, I did it. And I ended up pushing myself even more, where I was deadlifting and back squatting 250 pounds.
Whoa. Massive
I
props.
never thought I could. I never thought I could lift weights,
There
like
you go.
ever.
I mean, that's much better than me, man. I mean, but I totally that's so inspiring. That makes it's just like, ugh, that's wonderful. That's just
Well,
great.
I just say this. I can't say it enough. At one point, I never thought that I would be sitting here saying I do archery and I lift weights and I work out and run 4 miles a day. It started out with me being severely depressed and
Mm-hmm.
just defining what bothered me and then making tiny little steps, little itty bitty steps to making it better and
Yeah,
just knowing it may take a while.
absolutely.
But then you start doing even bigger things. Just you compete with yourself and not other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just to me it's weird sitting here thinking like, oh, like it is like I still very much remember what it was like for me if 4 years ago, sitting in my apartment, huffing and puffing, going up a little tiny set of stairs and wishing I remember thinking, I could just run like really fast and just melt all the fat away. That'd be great. Like, just like in one day, you know? But I remember having like visions of that, and it doesn't work that way at all. And it's the same way with archery.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. You have to consistently practice, and you have to think about things and make small changes. Okay, my arrow went too far to the left. What made it go too far? How do I get it straight? A
Hmm.
little tiny change. It's never going to be perfect.
There
It
you
just
go.
takes time.
And that's the truth of it. Little steps, and you're gonna get far. It'll take a bit, but you'll get there.
Yeah. So
So,
like,
I was just
oh,
gonna say, you have a friend who just said, "Hi, Amber, it's Maria," and yes, all this is true with like a little and a heart in the middle. So your friend's
hey
watching.
Maria,
Yeah, there you go. That's
glad
awesome.
you're here. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I don't know if you
Please,
can like on Twitch, but follow and subscribe if you
yay!
can.
Yes, we're,
There's Twitch Prime.
we're gunning for that. We're gunning for that 50, so I can get that affiliate status. I'm still
Yeah, you're
working.
so close. You're so close. I saw you need like before the stream, I think you need um 7 more, and it sounds like you got one, and so that'd be 6. I don't
Very close. I'm very close, but I'm just now. I've decided, relax. Don't take it seriously. Work on it slowly, and it'll blossom.
Yeah.
She
And you
says,
tell people about Twitch Prime, right?
"I will." Yeah, absolutely. When I get there, I'll be like, guys, it's a good thing. Take on. You got it. Do the thing.
Yeah, you can subscribe to one streamer for free if you're a Amazon Prime member. So be sure to do that whenever he gets the follower. Wait, no, you can subscribe now, can you not? Yeah.
I think the way subscriptions work is that you have to reach affiliate status, and then blows up beyond just following, and it becomes I can start making money. You know.
Well, right whenever you get your 50 followers, guys, be sure to subscribe and you can do it for free with Twitch Prime.
Please follow her advice, guys. It will make my life much easier. But
I'm just happy to be on your podcast. This is really cool.
oh, thank you. You know, and the beautiful thing is that if anyone ever wanted to talk, just be like, hey, Nick, because I'm not really. The title of the channel is The Wagonmeister, and that's cool. But I mean, I'm not like I have to hide myself from the public. I already do that in real life. I don't go out. But there you go. Oh, and thank you for another follow from your friend. Wonderful. We're getting there. I think it's 45 now. Much love. Much love. So,
5 more, 5 more.
I know. It's going to be good. So now, my hot take for Game of Thrones. That finale made so much sense the way it happened. The reason I say this is because I am a big part of A Song of Ice and Fire theory community. And the entire story wavelengths up until the 5th season hit the books super on point, and all of the themes towards the end made absolute sense. Clegane Bowl happened. How it happened, everyone thought it's going to be different in the books. Everything's going to be different in the books, but it's going to end exactly like that. You have a king beyond the wall, Jon Snow, or Aegon Targaryen. He's not an Aegon. His brother was Aegon. How dare you, you monsters? Why would Rhaegar name his son the same name as his other son from his first wife? Tisk, tisk, tisk. Secondly, you have the king off across the sea, the queen across the sea, Arya going off to be in her unknown. Her whole journey is a rambunctious child ravaged through war who becomes stronger than what she is. So, as with her sister, they're mirrors. One is a more extrovert, one's more introverted, political versus overt power. And then Bran's the king. And I don't think he's going to turn into, like, a computer in the books. I really don't. I think he and Sam are going to be like, all right, Bran, what are we going to do today? It's like the same thing we do every day, Sam. Try and tell the history of Westeros. And then it's like, you can see them in the castle, Pinky and the Brain entering, coming in, as Sam's like scribbling away. It's like super, super fast. It's like, Brain, I can. It's like, trust me, I know this. I was there. My spirit body did it. But every stroke of that show made sense. Jaime is the Valonqar. He's the younger brother. He's not... Cersei is the oldest. Because even though they're twins, Cersei came out first. So there's a whole prophecy that said, oh, your younger brother will cause you to have your things, like your children die and you will lose your life. Jaime did that because he's the father of her children, because they were bastards that caused the war, that killed all 3 of her kids, and then they died in each other's arms. So his hand was around her neck, protecting it. Prophecy. It's very dumb, and when you try and stop it, it's gonna happen. So guys, if you ever hear a prophecy, you know what's the best thing to do? Ignore that shit. Ignore it. You know, you're not the anime protagonist. You're not the greatest hero that ever happened. You're not going to another world. Come on, guys. So that's my
accurate.
take. So that's my take.
That's accurate. Well, what do you think of Daenerys and I mean, she was
the Mad
so
Queen.
much more admirable, and we all were rooting for her. At least I was, and most of the people I talked to. I mean, I cosplay her. I love her character, and then when she went down like that, and I wanted to see more reason why, because I mean it kind of made no sense, like right at the end. And you know, I know somebody that gave a hot take, and they're just like, if they just would have made, you know, like someone kill her dragon like right in front of her, like all of them, and then the rage, it would make more sense than
Missandei getting like head chop off, and she goes Mad Queen. So the way I see it is this: seasons, I want to say 6 to 8 to the last episode is one book. That's going to be one book. It's going to be probably 1,500 pages until George prunes it down. And I hope he lives until, you know, he lives and finishes the series. Realistically, I don't know, but he seems like he's a healthy guy. He's always gallivanting around on his blog. But that's all that. And the last episode, that's going to be an entire book as well. And that's going to be a book that's probably going to be 1,500 pages too. That whole last episode is its own book. And that's what people who are reading the books in between the lines, oh, I got the secrets here. We all, you know, there's a kind of a consensus that last episode, that's its own book. It has to be. Or else, what a ripoff.
Yeah.
But as for Dany going mad, the signs are there. She is a former slave she was a slave to Khal Drogo. She was sold as a wife. And she has this belief in her destiny. So that's aggrandizement. That's not a good mental condition. She's always been on the wrong side of things. She's been saving the oppressed because she was the oppressed. When she got to Meereen, she's no longer the oppressed. She's the oppressor. And even despite her goals of liberty, you've completely destroyed a culture that has existed before your own culture existed. The people in Slaver's Bay, they were around before the Dragon Lords in Valyria for thousands of years. And then the Valyrians come in and they're like puffed up chests. We're like the Roman Empire and Hellenistic Greece combined together, but we got dragons. Oh, you got slavery? I don't want to be plowing the fields and doing the sheep. Yeah, we'll take all the slaves. The Valyrians perfected it. Dany is this descendant of slavers. Her brother even says it. And she does. And she takes this idea of slavery and puts it onto other stuff too. Oh, all the lords, they're making the normal people slaves. All the, you know. So you see it in the background of how she's, you know, you see it from her perspective in the books. And it makes sense. But she has this aggrandizement which can easily spiral into something worse, which is why Varys was killed. Because he's like, I see the signs. I've worked with 4 different Targaryens. And I now know there's one who is tempered by ice. Who's the child of ice and fire? It's Jon Snow. He had a fire daddy. He had an ice mommy. They came together. He's the balance. Sansa is the ice. Dany is the fire. And both of them are terrible. And it all relates to the original Robert Frost poem that inspired the series. which I can let me pull it up now. I'll read it for you. It's actually a really good poem. Okay, Fire and Ice poem. There we go. It's literally the first one. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. And that poem is the entire setup for Game of Thrones, the entire setup for A Song of Ice and Fire. It's a clash of personalities. Thank you for coming. 1,095 days, I'm sorry. But there you go, your friend had to go. So, but that was nice of her to do them comments.
Take care, Maria.
But yeah, so this whole series is about what approach is best. Cold, hard hate driven by kind of rigid rules and like the way things are with no emotion, or deep passion to the part where it burns you up on the inside out. And again, Sansa grew colder and colder and colder. She grew more and more like, I'm divorcing myself from my emotions. I am solid, I am rock, I am hard, she's ice. Daenerys is, oh, my destiny. She has this fire growing inside, like an internal fire. And it's growing and growing and growing, and basically it just burns everything. Her metaphorical fire burns it all down to the ground. Dany is a great character.
Yeah.
And she is an example of a strong feminine character. But I think that you have to have that balance. You can't go between the two sides. It's healthy. It's also a Norse mythology thing in there, but you know, we don't have to talk about that.
No, it's cool. It's interesting. It's super inspiring because that's something I like to say in life and all the time is you have to have a balance of both good and bad. And what I was saying earlier about if you're angry, be angry. If you're sad, be sad. And I also was telling somebody this yesterday. I'm like, you know, you ever watch those people that they're like influencers or public speakers, and this how they be. Hey guys, make sure you just don't let it get to you. Be like super positive and stuff. Like just, you know, just smile and get over it, right? You know?
Very,
they have like that like super cheese,
yeah,
like constant smile, and you're just like,
it's kind of a sneer actually if you think about it. They're sneering at you. It's like, I have my shit together. Why don't you?
I can't you.
It's like,
right?
ooh. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. That is the thing. And I want to bring that up also about the why I have my shit together, why don't you thing. I said to somebody, I said, you know what, I think that the most important thing is to embrace the good along with the bad, the fire with the ice. If you're sad, cry.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do what those influencers or public speakers say and try to cover it up and just be positive and just get over it. No. You're sad or mad or happy or upset or humiliated, all for a reason. Those emotions are valid. And as you say, like, you know, Dany had too much fire, ends up burning everything, and Sansa was so stoic that it was just too stoic. And you need a balance of both. You need both. Embrace both things. And the thing I wanted to say about it's like the mentality of lace yourself up with the bootstraps. If I can do it, you can too. That's not true.
It's not true. That was a lie made up 120 years ago to say it's impossible. You can't pull up yourself with your bootstraps. That's why it exists. It's impossible.
Well, you know what? Maybe some people don't wear boots.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Exactly.
Or exactly. One of my favorite ways of explaining this is, you know what? Birds fly, but what if I don't have wings? What if I'm a fish and I'm expected to fly? The thing that most people forget is fish can swim, and they can swim really well, but we do things differently. I most definitely feel a fish in a bird world, and that's fine. Just embrace it, because I can swim, and that's okay. I can't fly, but it's cool they can fly.
There you go, guys. You have your strengths. Maybe you want other strengths, but your strengths might be better than their strengths in your own perspective.
Yeah, if you embrace your perspective. Oh man, I feel like we got a theme going on here.
There you go. That might be like that might be in the description. It's like we're gonna be talking about perspective in this one, and when I
Nerdy thing
upload it, to,
perspective.
yeah,
Well, isn't
wonderful.
that cool? Like how like nerdy stuff, like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and Star Wars,
Hmm.
they have all these life meanings that teach you balance, and especially those three. They
Yes.
teach you that the fire and ice, the force and the dark side, and
Hmm.
how people were, affected by the ring. And this is stuff that you that and I at least, like really relate on, but we're able
Hmm.
to watch and learn, and these beautiful works of art that people collaborated on to make is so life changing. That's why I make something with my friends like Culture Slate, so we
Yeah.
can be united under the big nerd umbrella, but learn things about life, and
There you
that's
go.
cool.
It is. That's what I love about storytelling in general. And it can be any type of story. It can be like a fairy story, a myth, a modern story, anything. It's like, and this is coming from George Martin. He's like, when you live your life, you only get one life. But when you open a book, you have the capacity to be able to live 1,000 lives, and you learn from those perspectives. And here's the thing about loving what you love. If you're a nerd about something, you could be a nerd about football. We call them typically football fans, but fan is from the word fanatic. It means they're crazy about something. It was talked about by the first fandom, the people who love Sherlock Holmes. But it's I think it was either Tolkien or C.S. Lewis who said, when you're a kid, you want to feel like you're an adult and throw away childish things. But when you're, because that's a childish trait to be like, I want to be an adult. But when you're an adult, all an adult is just a child that's tall and heavy, and they're not getting any bigger. So like, you might as well just enjoy what you enjoy. That makes you a unique person. It makes you much more well-rounded because he or she has interests. He or she or they like these things and they have such a deep passion. It's like, oh, that's beautiful to see someone love something, and that's it. And that's why Culture Slate is a fantastic idea that I hope springs off into wondrous things. So I hope this will become, and I hope for anyone who tries to create something new, that you can do that.
Yeah, yeah. And I would love to help support and see what everybody makes and see what people leave on this world, like their mark, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the beautiful thing. And one of the main reasons I came out to LA and wanted to be in film was I wanted to leave something beyond my years
Mm.
that is entertainment or comfort or something for somebody to cling on to or enjoy. And um, to me, that's what storytelling is. And that's why I want to encourage others, because I don't know your perspective, but I would really love to. I'd love to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that was a beautiful thing to continue on. That's a beautiful little segment. Let me check my little list of things we were going to talk about. All right. So we have two more things left. I think we kind of talked about the losing weight when we were going through it, and that was very admirable. So now I'm going to pass the baton of interviewing to you, my guest. And I have lived in Japan. I have had two opportunities there as a student and as someone who worked there without being in the military. So I actually had to go through the legal channels and not just be dropped there. So, what do you want to know?
Well, Japan is this beautiful country that I find myself, especially during COVID, watching YouTube walkthroughs, and they have such an incredible way of blending their history and culture in a modern era. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to go. I want to go to climb Mount Fuji. I want to go to the Nachi Falls.
Mm.
I've considered wanting to go and teach there and just be a part of the society where people I've heard, I've never been, are extremely respectful. Incredible manners. In fact, they'll wear like earbuds all the time from what I heard, and it's like very unconventional to have like loud speakers because they respect everybody. And I'm like, man, this sounds like a great society. So what I want to know is, how did you do it? What was it like? What was your favorite thing that you did? And I mean,
Yeah,
there's so many questions.
absolutely. I mean, like, it's so funny. This is such a running theme. One of my episodes in the early episodes of this thing, as a friend literally just asking me about Japanese culture. So this is my wheelhouse. You ask someone who's studied this profusely on a professional and a extracurricular level. So what's your first question? There was a lot there, so there you go.
Okay.
Lay it on
Well, first of all, for us, for me and for anyone watching it,
me. Mm-hmm.
how were you able to make the transition from someone in Southern California and living and working in Japan, a different country?
Um, First off, uh, just childhood goals and working towards it, like you said. I was very interested in it from, of course, video games, anime, and manga. You get that osmosis of their culture from their pop culture. And then when I started to kind of become myself as a teenager, I ended up like learning more about the traditional culture and the actual, like not just the popular stuff. And in college, I took a class in the summer. I wanted to learn Japanese, and it ended up becoming my other major besides that. And I just had a feeling that my life would lead me there. And the first time I went to Japan as a student, 4 month process, 4 month process of getting everything together, study abroad things, getting the money laid out. That's boring. But basically, if you want to go to Japan to work, here's what you got to do. First, you have to get yourself a skill set, or you have to graduate from a 4-year university. You have to have a university degree. Because you have to be able to say to immigration, I can come in to do whatever task you want. For example, if you're a technical engineer, or you're like someone who does code, oh, Japan's looking for you, man. They don't care. They've made English language companies in Japan that cater to those people. Rakuten is a great example. It's kind of like Klarna now, but it used to be like the Amazon of Japan. Oh, the things I could buy when I was a student. The fact they changed it made me sad. But yeah, you work towards that, and then you apply for jobs. There are many different jobs in Japan. Again, I brought up tech, but if you want to be a teacher, and this is what I did, graduate from college, then you apply for either teaching at a school, or you teach for a private company that's focused around conversation. I did the latter. And then all you have to do is get stuff. If you can excuse me for a second. Let me just mute myself here. Hey, what's up, buddy? I can do that, yeah. I thank you. Bye. All right. Pardon that. I have to just take care of one little thing, and then I will get back to talking about it.
No worries.
Let's see here. There we go. That was the task. I just had to slide a Costco card under my door so my brother can go and get Costco supplies. All right. So, Japan, right? Apply for the company. Once you get hired or you put in the program, then it becomes, you have your sponsorship. You got to bring in usually like a very, very tiny version of kind of like a photo from like a passport photo. You wait, you get approved, and then you take in a plane and you're going to live in a country for a year. Which, if you want, you can see. Let's see, where's my former ID for Japan? Let me see here if I have it. It's probably in one of my boxes somewhere. But what they do is, it's all nice and shiny. It's got the Japanese seal, the flower. Very colorful, and it's great. But that's how you get into Japan if you want to work there. Going to Japan, not working there, is much easier. It's much easier.
Very cool. Very cool. I think I've considered going to work in Japan to teach English, and I heard that you don't need to know much Japanese. In fact, it's important that I've heard most companies don't want you to know any at all, so that you go in and the children have to learn English and have to speak English. And I found that rather interesting. But regardless, I downloaded like a year ago Duolingo, and I'm like practicing my Japanese because it's hard.
Well, if you ever need a Japanese tutor, let me know. I'm down to help.
I do. I've like kanji. Oh my gosh.
Yes, kanji are all right. So kanji, long story short, Japanese didn't have their own writing system. So they're like, let's go to the place that does have it. And they imported a bunch. And then they're like, this is super hard. We're going to use some of these to create sounds that don't have any meaning. And that's what became kana, katakana and hiragana. You know that at this point, since you're doing
Yeah.
Duolingo for a year. But kanji.
Yes.
Kanji are gross, but they're important.
Your reaction just then was accurate.
Yeah. It's when that's when you hope like why didn't they go the Korean route where it's all just the things and not the Chinese anymore? Why couldn't they just do that? But then it wouldn't be Japanese, would it?
Yep. 3 different forms, hiragana and katakana. I believe that would be more of outside of Japan, like away, like
Yep.
how, for example, I believe Americans would speak more katakana, like
Yes.
based off. That's from what I'm learning. I'm still a student and nowhere near on your level, but that's what it seems.
Again, it's work. That's the same thing as that. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're so good." And it's like, I worked hard. You work hard to achieve something, and that's what I've worked hard to achieve. But yeah, the way it works is this: hiragana is native Japanese sounds. Katakana is for borrowed sounds from outside. So, for example, there's no Japanese word for radio, so the Japanese word for radio is radio. R-A-J-I-O. Because they don't have the D sound in Japanese. And then there's actually two more writing styles. So there's kanji, and then they have their native Japanese. Basically, it's based off of Sanskrit, and that's for Buddhist texts. You can see them at temples and stuff. It's really beautiful. I wish I had my keys. I could show you, like, one of them. I have a charm that's associated to my birth year's Buddha.
Very cool.
Yeah, Buddhism, Chinese astrology has the 12 animals. There are Buddhas associated with those animals, if you're a Buddhist.
Very cool. I would like to know what I am. I'm interested. How would I figure that out?
Oh, for sure. So we can do that right now, actually, if you want.
Cool.
Yeah, so the way you figure it out is first, what is your year of birth? And I know that's like something you don't ask women, but like I'm also like, guys, stupid rules.
It's fine. I'm proud of the year I was born. I love it. It's 1989.
1989. All right. That's actually the same year as my cousin's. So there you go. Good
great
year.
year.
A lot of good people produced on that year. A lot of good quality human beings.
It was a good year. I feel like it's the second baby booming. I feel like I run into people born in 89 all the time. And I'm like, this is cool.
Now
the next one's going to be 2020 because of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's true. That's what they think, but apparently the birth rate has gone down with the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's actually a baby drought instead of a baby boom. I think people are just like, it's too expensive. So
it is. Us millennials are tired of it.
Unfortunate. That's why we hopefully can grasp the reins of power eventually and create social democracy like we had in the 70s back. But that's going to take a long time. I don't want to talk about politics. That's like if there's one thing that triggers my negative thoughts and going into a depressive state, it's external sources like politics. I take a very Voshite approach where it's politics are dumb, but they're important. And I'm trying to live that life now and not let it affect me so much. So, for your year, you were born in the year of the snake. And you said March, right? Was your birth month?
Yeah.
Yeah, because okay, good. Then definitely year of the snake, because for the Chinese calendar, it's a lunar calendar, so it always starts in the middle of February. So let's see, what snake are you? Let's see, I'm trying to find out here. Let's see. There we go. You are an earth snake.
An earth snake?
Yes.
I hope these are all good things.
It's pretty interesting. It's just astrology, but just a different type of astrology.
I like being a danger noodle. They're cute.
That's good. All right. So there you go. Now I just have to see what snake year Buddha. So the 8 zodiac protectors. Let's see here. Ooh, you get a good bodhisattva. So your bodhisattva of protection is Fugen Bodhisattva. So this is the Buddha of universal goodness, virtue, and worthiness. And it symbolizes good works. And his titles are the one who is all-pervadingly good, the one whose beneficence is everywhere, and the protector of those who would teach the Buddhist law. Ooh, very nice.
Very cool. Can you send that to me? I'd like to do some research.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I'm going to be reading tonight.
Yeah, I'll absolutely send it over. I'll shoot it over Facebook. If you want your, do you want your Earth Snake characteristics?
Yeah.
All right.
And American astrology, I'm a Pisces.
Nice. I'm a Libra, which is why you can see me kind of leap. I like balance. I like flip flopping. So there
That's
you
cool.
go. Yeah, and for me, I'm a wood dog, 1994.
Very cool. A wood dog.
Yeah, and it worked. It's pretty on the point with like my whole thing. So, the Earth Snake. Here's the characteristics, and then I'll read like the general one. So, a general reading would be calm with strong self-control, but maybe not steadfast or diligent enough to work. So, of course, it's astrology. It's not 100% accurate, but it's fun. As for the characteristics in long sentences, Earth snakes can be lazy, but they're really just chilled all the time, but they're a charmer. But don't be misled. They are powerful characters with real inner strength, and it's just very well concealed. They eat, drink, sleep, bit of work, eat, drink, sleep, and that's their pattern. They're happy and jovial, and people will love them. And when these mellow Joes put their mind to it, nothing is beyond them. They are rock solid.
Cool.
There you go.
Cool. I like it. That also sounds like a bit of balance.
Yeah.
I feel like I relate to both. There was a time in my life, like I said before, where I wasn't doing too much. I was depressed and then flipped the switch.
I totally get that as well. Absolutely.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that with me. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, hey, I'm glad to bring new interests to people. It's like my favorite thing. It's the teacher inside me being like, here's a thing. Open it up. What's inside? Cha-chan! New knowledge.
It's cool. Yeah, being a teacher, that's very, very admirable. It's actually, to me, one of the best professions that people can choose to be in. I don't want to generally speak, but that I do feel that way, that you are passing on knowledge to future generations. And that's, again, one of the most admirable jobs that I believe we have. And it's just a shame that society is not as at least American society is not as understanding as that. And education is one of the things I value most. So it's really cool. Very cool.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that. And I think a lot of people feel the same way as you do about that. I certainly do. And that just goes into that's a whole other thing. We can talk about that in another episode. We can do a political episode about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Hot take.
Yeah.
I have one minor hot take.
Go for it.
I believe teachers should be paid just as well as doctors. Mic drop. That for another day, but that's what I believe.
I wholly agree with you. It's a very hard job. It's a very hard job. Do you want to know of my experience of teaching in Japan? Like how it was?
Yeah.
So I worked at one of those private schools, it's a company and their focus is just on English speaking. And I loved teaching the students. And our students, since it's a private thing, would accept anyone who's a toddler to maybe baby even to someone maybe in their 90s. Anyone can come. Anyone can learn. But it was fun, and I loved my coworkers. I loved my students. I just couldn't stay because of personal reasons, which I said earlier in the thing, and as well as I just wasn't being satisfied because of the business side. It was so like sell, and I have the exact opposite personality of a used car salesman. So I unfortunately couldn't be like, hey, you need this thing because they say I have to sell this thing so we can make money, okay? And it's like, that's not me. I can't throw that. I can't throw my, like, that's why I'm like, I don't know if I should go back into sales because I'm bad at it. Unless I believe the product, in which case, this is fantastic. I use it. It's wonderful. You guys got to give it a try. But,
Valid.
yeah. That's why I don't think I can. I mean, I could work in an office, but I don't know if I could sell stuff.
It definitely takes a certain type of person, and I feel the same way because to me, like if I don't believe in the product and this is something I'm just getting paid to do, it just becomes artificial and the intentions are just to get money from people, and that's just not something that aligns with what I like to say my character sheet. That's
I love it. What are you? What on the spectrum of the nine are you?
Oh, I was just having this conversation because I dual class. I feel like in real life, I'm definitely two classes in one. My number one class would be a bard, 100% a bard. I'm a thespian musician, 1000% a bard.
Hmm.
Um, and, archer, which is not uncommon for some bards to have bow and
Mm-hmm.
arrow. Um, but, bards are lacking on the wisdom side and the strength side, and that's something that I feel is very important to me. I feel like I do like to bring a lot of wisdom in my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very strong, and I love my strength. It's one of my favorite things. Like, I love being a strong female. So I, was talking to one of my DMs and I was just like, in real life, what do you think that is? And we went from barbarian to possibly a paladin, and then
Mm-hmm.
I found it. I am a bard cleric.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
And I was like, my god is the archery gods. like like Artemis, there's a temple, the seven wonders. Um
Nice. That's
so
awesome.
yeah, that's what is yours? Do you have one?
People have always told me I'm a bard. That was just like my personality. But I tend to be quiet and I like my like retrospection and stuff. So I feel like overtly a bard, but because I have over 10 years of musical theater training. I was in a band for a long time, jazz band, classical band. I'm a multi
Oh,
instrumentalist. And the poetry thing, if I wanted to, I could probably become a singer songwriter really easily. But but I
very
like
cool.
my learning. I like my scholarship. So I also see myself as somewhat of a wizard in a sense, because like I devote my time to my studies and I like learning about stuff.
I could see that with the history and
Hmm.
yeah, that's cool. And you can dual class as well.
Yeah,
You don't have to always be an extroverted person to be a bard.
yeah. I know. It's listen. There's the stage face, and then there's the here's a beautiful Japanese analogy I think you'll like. So every person on the planet has three faces. So first is the face you put on in public when you know no one at all. And the second is the face you put on with your close friends and family. The third is never seen by anyone but you when you're alone, and that's your truest self.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that a lot.
Right? Isn't that a good
That's how
little.
you got me thinking.
There you go. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And that's the
Yeah,
whole, everyone having their unique perspective. Sometimes you have to, you can't say your true perspective. So it's just gotta, that's your hidden self. It's your, I don't know if there's a Western term for it. I'd have to dig into. I'm big into I'm getting into high magic, like Damien Eccles and Jason Love and stuff. And yeah, it's very interesting how that parallels to like Taoism and Buddhism.
interesting. Yeah, that's more I would definitely have to study up on and learn more, but feel free to send me resources or suggestions because
Oh,
I'm always interested in learning more. That's
absolutely.
really cool.
Yeah, just like if you have a topic, it's like Nick, I want to learn about this. I'm like, give me a second. This, and
Definitely a wizard.
this.
Definitely a wizard.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Right. I'm very much so that.
Wizard bard.
I'm a
Wizard
wizard
bard.
bard. Yes.
Last night I actually finished writing lyrics for a song And Brian worked with me to write like a melody, and we actually had it going. It's about halfway done. The lyrics are done. I think we're gonna title it Liminal Spaces.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's actually a I don't know how would you explain it. Like maybe it started out as a poem,
Hmm.
and I was actually shooting archery, and I got like an idea, and I was like, and start writing, and
Yep.
um, it's actually like a poem about love, but
Aw.
that ended very sadly. So, the liminal spaces.
Hmm. I think that's a
And
beautiful title for it. I'm very eager to hear it when when you're finished with it.
yeah, I think I'm gonna play it on my guitar, just like a solo, and just sing it. It's a very near and dear, heartfelt poem and
Hmm.
song. So, um, I look forward to also learning the stupid bar chord that we're going to add in there because I was trying to like I was telling Brian, I'm like, I hate bar chords. I have small hands, and he was
Whereas
just like, "You
Brian
want to
is the
try to write a melody?"
all I know is like that just makes me laugh because Brian's such a vamp king when he's on the piano. He's like he's like he's not playing like a melody. He's like these are the chords and I'm only playing the chords and I need someone to play the. It's like I have known that man now for shit 8 years.
Oh wow! Did you
Yeah.
guys go to school together?
No, we met together in the Brony community.
Oh, yes, cool.
Yes.
Like I know an array of his friends in different parts of his life, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I actually love My Little Pony. I wasn't into it before, but Brian actually opened my eyes, and he didn't specifically do this by saying, Amber, become a brony. He actually it's beautiful. What happened is I was explaining to him how I felt
Hmm.
about something that has happened to me that was very terrible, and he goes, oh, it was like this episode when Twilight blah 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 and something happened. I can't remember what happened exactly, but it was
Right.
his way of translating what I went through that show.
Hmm.
And that show subconsciously teaches how to deal with like trauma and serious issues that people go through. And I was like, that's so amazing. And they do it in such a way that is so wholesome
Hmm.
and just great and lovable, and it makes you feel good inside. And I'm just like, this is great. Why isn't everybody watching this? You know?
I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's a well. I mean, I've kind of. I don't want to say I've grown away from it, but it's just like it's there, it's history, and I recognize it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, that's so cringy to be into that back in the day. I was like, that was a fun time in my life, and I was exploring a
Yeah.
lot then.
There's
But
nothing wrong with that.
I think that's a beautiful thing you said about like how it teaches you these lessons, and that's true. I think that's true of a lot of children's media when the creation of it is focused on, as opposed to like, how are we gonna market this to sell toys, right?
Yeah.
Which that's a big part of children's animation or entertainment. But like, when there's actual things imparted in it that can make you a better human, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. My next show that I've kind of just been like that on is She-Ra, the remake.
Yo, isn't it good?
Yes.
I watched that whole thing when I was working in Japan. I was like, oh, this is so good.
Right? Ryan started out, he was just like, you need to cosplay Adora stat. And I
You,
was like, who's Adora? And he's like, yeah,
yeah.
watch She-Ra. And he forced me literally to watch an episode. I'm like, this is so good. It teaches you about trauma and just like how to deal with stuff, and that the bad guy is not really always the bad guy, and like there's reasons behind people doing things. And I'm like, oh, like,
Yep,
I,
absolutely.
She-Ra's amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
there's so much representation and diversity in that show. It's so wonderful. If
Yes,
anyone has not seen She-Ra, please watch She-Ra.
it is very good. It is on Netflix. Even if you're not like, oh, I don't want any parting messages. The animation is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Watch it from a perspective of a filmmaker. If you
Yeah.
want some, you know, that's the thing I love about entertainment is that you can look at things in a bunch of different perspectives and see the beauty in them.
Yep. Yep.
Ah,
Yep. This totally is a perspective theme for this episode.
maybe I should change the title from I was gonna say Professionals Ahoy, like when I put it on this, but I'm gonna probably change the title like Perspectives Ahoy.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Absolutely. I think that'd be great. Plus, I look forward to seeing this on Anchor and Spotify
See,
very, very soon. Um,
I'm getting told, guys. I'm getting told, everyone. I gotta do this now. I will.
yeah,
I'll put it
I
there.
want to hear it. I want to be able to share it and for people in the future to watch it and watch your future episodes.
Absolute. Yeah, I'm just. You see me do this, and that's just like, oh, thank you, thank you. This is a Japanese expression. It's like, so this is what you do at a Buddhist temple when you pray, right? But it's also like, I'm meeting you, and I'm like, I thank you for it. So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Is it the same, you're welcome, or thank you for everything and having me on your show and allowing me to speak and share my perspective. And I look forward to hearing other people's in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you. Is there anything else you want to talk about? We still have a bit of time, but I know that you said you have like a hard. I want to stop by here. Anything you feel like you just want to like casually chat about now?
Well, I did not get any training done today in archery, and I've got a culture slate thing to do soon. I kind of actually want to go shoot, and at that point, I do want to say a little bit about archery before I go, if that's okay.
You got it.
Okay, guys, do archery. Seriously, I want to take a minute to advocate for archery, traditional specifically. I talked a little bit about it at the beginning. Oh my gosh, if you want a sport that is nerdy, that requires you to learn like amazing things about your mental health in a positive aspect, and it helps you become physically stronger and stay physically active, this is it. And I highly suggest traditional archery. And what that is bows without sights, bows that you use your own eyes and your intuition and your body to shoot with and not anything exterior. Like compound bows will have like these wheels on them that make something heavy to, you'll pull 70 pounds and then you pull them past the wheels, it's 8 pounds. I shoot with a traditional bow that's 50 pounds, so I'm pulling and holding 50 pounds, so it requires strength to sit there and hold it. The other thing is you talk to your bow, you become one with your bow, you become one with your arrow. And I will actually, when I shoot, I hold it and I will feel something's wrong, and that's my bow literally telling me, put me down, I'm not going to shoot right. Something's wrong. And it teaches you how to speak to yourself, and you learn your language and what works for you, because it requires you to actually say, I need to do something consistent every time. So you'll come up with something in your head. Like for me, I'll like kick my foot and actually tap my leg with my arrow, and that's how I start. And it's like a weird ritual, but it allows me to get in that zone of thinking, and everybody has a different way of doing it, so that I'm able to shoot consistently every time straight. And a lot of people do what's called instinctual shooting, and that's something where they just feel, and
Mm.
it's something that can't be explained, and it's very, very interesting. And I had this wonderful, amazing archer show me something, and this is something you guys can try at home. And I have this theory that each traditional archer that I've met is a musician or artist of some aspect, because you use those same subconscious things that you do to make music and to make art or film while shooting. And what the amazing archer showed me was she had me sign my name like a signature on a piece of paper, and just signed it. And she goes, okay, now I want you to look at it and focus and copy it exactly the same. So I looked at it and I'm sitting here focusing, and it's taking me like 5 minutes. And she goes, okay, now sign it again. And I just sign it without thinking. And you look at it and you see my subconscious is able to sign it perfectly the same every time. I'm not thinking about it. But when I think about it and I'm sitting there trying to copy it, it's not the same. It takes me a long time. That is what archery that's traditional teaches you. And that's what us artists and musicians use. We tap into that subconscious and find a balance between logic and the subconscious. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate of traditional archery. You just explore this whole part of yourself that people just ignore. And I'm like, this is so amazing. I'm addicted.
I have so many things to say about that.
Yeah.
First, that just sounds like mindfulness and tapping into your, as you said, intuition. That's like you're turning off the. It's not like the logic is off, but you're focused, and you're in the zone. As you know, in the zone, so many people talk about the zone, but the zone exists, and that's when you do it, and you're one with everything around you, and you just do the thing. You don't think about it, you just do it.
Yep. It's a balance of you do have to have some focus and logic to be able to hold your form,
Right.
but you got to let go. You cannot control the arrow. And you can take these metaphors, and I do all the time. I use archery as a metaphor for everything. I'm just like, you can't control it, and you just have to let go. And I felt that. And no matter what you do, you have to let go. And when you think about that in real life, there are aspects of your life you just cannot control. You have to let go. You have to have faith, and you have to also feel and just let go. And embrace who you are on all aspects of yourself, and that arrow will fly.
Mm.
It will fly. And if you get it down pat, it'll fly in the same spot every time.
Mm. Oh man, I just want. Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna definitely be sending you some things that you might be interested in related to that, like Japanese archery, for example. That's literally the whole thing of it.
I want to go to Japan and learn Japanese archery. I've watched videos. Let me tell you, their archery is on a whole other level. And it's straight up all intuition. In fact, their masters who teach do it blindfolded and perfect every time. That is so cool. And that is an art.
There you
Just as
go.
traditional archery is an art, this is on a whole other level of your intuition, and it's spiritual. It's completely spiritual. Also, I do
Absolutely.
want to say I do not shoot to kill. I shoot as an art form. I do not hunt. I have no interest in hunting. However, for the archery community out there, I'm not against doing what you love. If you like to hunt, more power to you. But I want to say, as an archer, I do not hunt. I'm not interested in hunting. I just shoot for spiritual reasons, and it's amazing.
There you go. Everyone, we have had a true samurai on. Because the samurai were not about swords and guns, despite what Netflix and all the things will tell you. A true samurai was a master of the horse and bow. And we have. Yep.
I want to do mounted archery so bad. That is actually my goal for this year, is to get on a horse and shoot a bow and arrow. I'm looking for a teacher. It's my goal.
I have a festival. If you ever go to Japan, I have a festival time you should go towards in one of the old capitals of Japan. The whole thing is that it's an entire row. It's literally half a mile on dirt of people doing a competition of horseback archery in armor.
Want?
Yeah, you want? I'll send it to you over. I'll let you know about it.
I want to be in that.
There you go.
I want to travel the world and do archery. That would be, my life would be set. Like doing Culture Slate, traveling the world, doing archery. Like, hear me out. I'm speaking it out.
There you go. And the universe will provide. Well,
Yes.
Amber, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate all the things you've brought to this, and I hope people learn from it. And I just want to say I'm glad to have met a new, wonderful human being.
It's so great meeting you and talking with you. You're so wise and you have so many amazing things, and I look forward to staying in touch. And again, thank you for having me on your show, and I'm going to say it again. I look forward to seeing it on Spotify and Anchor.
Of course. And with that, everyone, that has been the Guy in a Basement podcast of the Wagonmeister channel. Be sure to follow me. Please follow my guest. Check her out on social media. You know, she has Amber Time on Instagram. She's on Facebook. I don't know if she'll accept your thing, but I'm sure she'll take a message.
Yeah, MC Ammer Time on all social media.
There you go. And for me, check out the Instagram. Twitter's just a copy of the Instagram. Facebook's for updates. And this video will be on YouTube soon. Yeah, please follow. Yes. All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.